everybody's scared to death they're going to lose their job. They're not. There's going to be 170 million jobs created in the next decade. And out of those, maybe 90 million of them are going to go away. Well, do the math.
The F1 suite currently, in terms of telemetry, has 366 data inputs and outputs. The tire pressures, it's capturing everything from what the weather is like, how the fuel is being consumed, and it's on the fly taking all these inputs and giving driver the output. At the same time, it's capturing driver's blood pressure, their eye connection of where they were looking.
In healthcare, health innovation, if it doesn't fit into the workflow, it's dead. It doesn't matter how good your model is. If it's not considered useful and usable to clinicians and healthcare providers, it's dead in the water.
We invented a new layer that is allowing people to engage and capture their touch, their interaction, their face, their reaction, their follow-up, whether or not they actually participate in a way that was never possible before. And that's where AI gave that power.
My thesis is that the fundamental currency is trust. And we need to have many more conversations around how we can make AI development transparent.
Prior to a sports car, I have actually finished my career with a bank, and I have also, prior to a bank, have built systems for defense like Lockheed Martin and US Treasury.
In the business of recruiting and staffing, we're just trying to learn new things and trying to teach our employees, both contractors and our on-site employees, how to use AI and how it's going to impact them.
AI has been looked at as replacing humans, replacing models, replacing photographers, replacing all these spheres. But what I like to have as a goal is to show how this can empower and put the spotlight on people and allow it to have the human element back into it and allow brands to still control the creative direction and experiences that they want.
I was already sensing surgeons left and right and hospital administrators, the decision makers in health systems across the country and globally were already getting AI fatigue. So how can you think of AI solutions and AI architecture more holistically so that it can essentially be the intelligence layer in the healthcare ecosystem?
I saw AI coming down the pike. I said, I don't want to be in this corporate cycle anymore. I need to go build now. About a year ago, someone reached out to me about launching a podcast. I said, hey, I'm sure other people are figuring out this AI space. Maybe like the founders, the innovators that are actually building out to share real wins. It's been a year on YouTube. It's approaching 4 million views.
They said there are 5,700 universities and colleges in the U.S. And guess how many have AI degrees?
All right, everybody, welcome to the AI Space Podcast. AI is not just the future, it's a force rewriting the rules of wealth, business, and society. If you're a founder, innovator, technologist, this is the AI show for you. The question you have to ask yourself is, will I blaze a path, follow the crowd, or be left behind? I have an amazing panel, leaders in AI, and they also happen to be women, so we're showcasing their talents. First of all, welcome. We have an amazing looking panel here from diverse backgrounds. What I'm going to ask you to do is briefly introduce yourself, but focus on what you're trying to achieve in 2026.
My name is Ira Manzoor, and 2026, that's amazing. So prior to a sports car, I have actually finished my career with a bank, and I have also, prior to a bank, have built systems for defense like Lockheed Martin and US Treasury, and I am extremely privileged. I feel like that because I get to do and experience multiple careers throughout my lifetime and playing different roles. This year is really unique, and I've been studying AI for the past 10 years of how it's going to impact human life and how, as we are contributing among our families, trying to build our careers, what is going to be our impact. So in 2026, I am very keenly aware of impacting human life in a way that it's going to be a unique experience and hence a motorsports company. I will definitely take some time later to talk about why I wanted that to be the first company that I'm building. But this year, my focus is to make my company profitable, and achieve being a break even. And I'm very happy to report that after our next race, we will be breaking even. So I'm very proud of that. Thank you. And my next achievement for this year is that I'm also exploring the VC and a private equity space. And I'm looking forward to make a tangible progress this year. Fingers crossed. Thank you.
I'm Melanie Freeman, and I'm the founder and CEO of a number of companies here in Dallas. I've been here for, I guess, 40-something years, and two of those companies are in the business of recruiting and staffing. One is Freeman Leonard, which places creative and marketing people and does creative and marketing projects, and Bravo Tech, which places IT people of all kinds. And I also own a company called Answer Team. It's a national managed service company where we don't fill any jobs in that particular company, but we wrap up all the suppliers for big companies under our contract technology and process. And then about 12 years ago, I started a company with two other women my age called Prime Women Media. It's a media company for all content for women over the age of 50. We have had a website for many years, we have a YouTube channel, and we started a podcast about 8 months ago called Crazy Good Aging. Not Asians, but aging. Get that straight. I would say that for 2026, because the whole world is in such a twist, that we're just trying to learn new things and trying to teach our employees, both contractors and our on-site employees, how to use AI and how it's going to impact them. It's very, very critical for jobs of the future. As you all know, everybody's scared to death they're going to lose their job. They're not. There's going to be 170 million jobs created in the next decade. And out of those, maybe 90 million of them are going to go away. Well, do the math. 80 million of them are going to continue. So, we really need to get out of this I'm scared to death phase and just figure out what you need to learn in order to be productive and move on to the next thing. I've been in this business for so long that, I've seen this over and over and over again. Maybe not to the extent today, but certainly jobs have rolled over and recreated themselves over all these years. It's normal. So I just tell people, just calm down and stop getting all twitted out about it.
Thanks.
So my 2026 focus is about bringing AI into the physical world, in the real world, by bringing it into bringing people into the experience. And that's been a snare where, AI has been looked at as replacing humans, replacing models, replacing photographers, replacing all these fears. But what I like to have as a goal is to show how this can empower and put the spotlight on people and allow it to have the human element back into it and allow brands to still control the creative direction and experiences that they want. And so my goal is to really make AI accessible and empowering in a way that it's invisible, and it's actually just helping you to feel more confident in your buying decisions or in your experiences.
So my guiding question this year is, how can we leverage AI to further explore our humanity, expand it, while accelerating human flourishing? So if there's anything that you can take away from who I am tonight, my name's Florina, that actually means flourishing. And my North Star is accelerating human flourishing, and especially with the exponential powers of AI.
I'll start with you at the end. You kind of focus on MedTech, go-to-market strategy. Explain to folks what are the key trends that you see in that space.
So I have been tangential to AI for the last 20 years. And in the last 10, while I was at Johnson & Johnson MedTech, I was already sensing surgeons left and right and hospital administrators, the decision makers in health systems across the country and globally were already getting AI fatigue. Everyone and their mama was selling AI solutions to them. But what people don't understand, and I say this to founders all the time, in healthcare, in health innovation, if it doesn't fit into the workflow, it's dead. It doesn't matter how good your model is. If it's not considered useful and usable to clinicians and healthcare providers, it's dead in the water. So how can you think of AI solutions and AI architecture more holistically so that it can essentially be the intelligence layer in the healthcare ecosystem to make the patient journey more unified, a lot less fragmented, and a lot more effective to drive the best patient outcomes. That's how I advise founders today who are working in this space.
And Javine, key trends for you?
I can echo that, but for the brand and marketing space, it's the same thing. Intelligence layer. So if you think about it, how many times have you gone shopping and you went to the fitting room and then you just didn't buy anything? Or you went to the store and you touched something, you were interested in it, and you just left it and you didn't purchase it. Around like 80% of the time, right? That company, that brand never knew whether you were interested or not. I mean, you would know online, I visited that page, but what if you did want to try it? What if you felt anxiety, you wanted to go through this? It's all these insights of, oh, this attracted me or this not. It was invisible. It gave what's called blind marketing, blind product placement. There was no visibility into the physical space. Even at an event, how many people actually learn the name of your brand? Now we invented a new layer that is allowing people to engage, meaning capture their touch, their interaction, their face, their reaction, their follow-up, whether or not they actually purchased it in a way that was never possible before. And that's where AI gave that power. And so I feel like that's the trend. Where can AI fit into a workflow, fill a missing gap that was never possible before, and make things easier and more visible and useful for people? At the same time, saves money, and look at Telly.
Valerie, key trends for you in your business with AI?
Well, I am not, or my company does not develop AI products, right? We're in the staffing recruiting business, so we're all about people. But, we have to use AI. We're the ones that are looking at all these millions of products that are out there and trying to determine which ones will really work for us. And so we try to list the things that we would like to change. Everybody puts in their ideas. What do you have problems with? What would you like to change? What would you like to do faster, better, easier? And then from that, we pick the top things that we really feel like are the biggest issues. And then we go looking for a product. And we have looked at a lot of products. And it's hard, let me tell you. It takes time and effort. You try a pilot, you know what pilots are like. Half the time, they work great, you pilot, and then you try them out and they don't work. So that is a process that we have been using for the past couple of years.
I want to share a stat and few facts. So in 2020, the motorsport business was ranging anywhere between $8 to $10 billion annually. The current projection for 2030 is close to $50 to $60 billion, increasing 5 to 7% every year. So this year, the biggest trend for followers is have an immersive experience. So things like Spring AI, how everyone is watching sports, how they want to be part of it, more competition. So this was the factual piece. But I want to talk a little bit, go a layer deeper because we are talking about AI. The F1 suite currently, in terms of telemetry, has 366 data inputs and outputs. The tire pressures, it's capturing everything from what the weather is like, how the fuel is being consumed, and it's on the fly taking all these inputs and giving driver the output. At the same time, it's capturing driver's blood pressure, their eye connection of where they were looking, so much so that they can now figure out the combination of both. So with all this input, at the end of the day, it's still the driver who has to make the decision of where they will push and where they will not. And that particular sense, in terms of AI, we will have amazing models that we're constantly comparing. Even at my level, for my cars, for F3 and F4, that's my dream, and that is the next project that I'm starting of using this data and starting the trending. And that's where I see that in motorsports, we will see far more analytics as early as 2027 first quarter. So the F1 race for 2027, as soon as this season begins, will have far more engaging data for all the viewers.
Thank you so much. And to set some context to this, we say the term AI, which is artificial intelligence, but the basic notion, can we use computers and other compute resources to think and reason like a human being, right? And that's what we're trying to get to in a sense. And there's concepts like AGI, which is general intelligence, that actually get to that human level. And you'll hear words like ChatGPT or LLMs, which are large language models, right? So these are models that have been trained on corpus a lot of data, and to be able to make predictions and to create new things in ChatGPT, generative pre-trained transformer, basically it's just the next word in the sequence, right? So, Jabeen, I know you're building out your tech stack, right? So I think this is a course here on AI for them. So as the folks are interacting, you have an AI studio, right? And you probably have some sort of chatbot or LLM where they're interacting with a prompt to make artistic designs, right? Maybe you can talk to that and how it interacts with the image generation model.
Yeah, I think what it starts with is the AI, artificial intelligence, is trying to interpret as accurately as it can what you are trying to achieve, right? And so sometimes it becomes difficult for you to communicate with AI. It's like, talking to someone who speaks a different language than you, right? Like you're trying to find some common ground. So that's why, natural language models and prompts all have become so popular, like ChatGPT, making it kind of conversational. And that's where the LLMs all come in. And the way image and video actually works is the same way that the text-to-text AI is kind of trying to predict, based off of the research and the billions of data points that it knows. The images are going to be using about 12 billion data points that it's trained on in its brain to understand this is a basketball, this is golden hour sunlight lighting, this and that. And so the math that kind of, what I feel like people struggle with when trying to create, and how many of you guys get frustrated trying to create something with AI that's just not right? Why isn't it getting it? Why can't it? So there's a couple ways to solve for that. I'm sure a lot of you have done this. You ask one AI to help another AI. Can you help me write a prompt for this tool to then do it there? And how many tabs you have open, and you're hopping from one to the other to the other. And so what I did is actually I did the work of kind of combining them all into one platform, where you have a prompt assistant. So you type keyword, just a couple things like man, building a snowman, whatever. But you're not coming up with all of the fancy words and the lighting and all that. You have a magic assistant that will just turn that prompt into a much better, elegant, descriptive prompt, which you have the ability to do, and then take that in and then it'll generate it. And then we take it into a workflow. To Florina's point, you don't want to go from tab to tab to app to app to app. You're just like, it's overload for you, right? How can you streamline the experience so that it's working the way that you think? You're going from one step to the next step to the next step. I start with an idea, I turn it into an image, now I want to turn it into a video, or now I want to add text to it. And so that's what we did in our AI studio. We put a combination of almost every single type of AI technology in there. We're using Nano Banana, Gemini, we have Seedream, we have Flux, we have OpenAI, we have the custom ones that we've built, and combined it all so that you can create an ongoing workflow and then have it managed in your team. And I don't encourage you that you have to use mine. What I think is like, as long as you've established your workflow, right? Figure out where you're going to go for your ideas, where are you going to go for them to refine it, and then I think the best solution that Valerie's doing is to really investigate and find which one is going to match the closest, because again, it's also tedious for you to hopping from one to the other. So finding one that really just resonates with your workflow.
Right. Just a follow-up, just a short answer on this one is that a lot of these are very human intensive, right? And you talk about workflow, so those are how do you get it where you're not always in it, right? So how can you automate it? But then also, automation is just it's fixed, but then there's AI agents which they can think autonomously. So are you embedding that into your business at this point?
Yeah, this is semi kind of like agentic AI, where you're not typing anything, you're just selecting, and we've pre-programmed the AI to know it's going to take your photo, it's going to find this garment, and do a whole workflow behind the scenes that you never saw, like it's invisible, right? For you, and for anyone building, something that wants to expedite your process, you do have to do a little bit of that workflow in the beginning because you have to train it how you want it to work. I'm going to give this idea, but you should already know that the next thing I'm going to ask for is to turn it into a report, find some, credible resources, and create that type of system for you internally. Check that that's working for you, and then turn that into an AI agent by training a GPT or a GEM or digital LLM. There's a lot of tools out there that can actually a Claude code that you can install that onto your software. Actually, be careful with that because sometimes people do that. But that is the first step is establishing your workflow, making sure you can verify it's understanding the steps that you want to do, and then making that into an automated system, a flywheel that can work for you.
Thank you. And so from a MedTech perspective, what do you see from a tech stack, technology architecture, how are you going to push that?
Right now, I'm trying to get Claude to be my chief of staff because I need more of that. But in terms of MedTech, I just had an experience with my mom. She showed signs of a stroke 2 weeks ago, and if you know anything about a stroke, I think this figure is a patient will lose 2 million brain cells in 1 minute. So every single minute counts. And now AI is saving people from strokes and the severity of strokes. So for instance, in England, the NHS rolled out an AI CAT scan tool to all 107 centers in England. And what used to take 140 minutes of diagnosis now takes 70. And now tens of thousands of people have their lives back instead of having their lives lost to stroke. And tens of thousands of families are now unburdened by having to care for a loved one with stroke. And I want to see more of those results here and of course globally, but that's just one case study of how one narrow AI that's used for CAT scans can save lives and prevent just extraordinary damage to the human body and socially.
And Valerie, you've been leading a company since the 90s, so you've seen the internet, you've seen cloud, you've seen data analytics, and you've seen AI. Maybe from a technology perspective or even just a people perspective, what are you seeing in terms of internal and external resources in terms of the skills and expertise that's required to go forward in 2026?
I don't think they're that much different from what they've been in terms of basic skills. Critical thinking, of course. There needs to be some basic understanding of technology, really. The basics of ChatGPT, even. You need to know something about that. But I think the ability, if you want, you can learn the technical skills, but if you want to grow in your job, you need to go further than that. You need to have some leadership skills, some ability to manage a team, a high-performing team. And let me tell you, to put together a high-performing team is extremely difficult. In fact, in all my 40 years, I've probably only seen 2 of them at my company. And the reasons are pretty obvious. I mean, it's everybody, they want something for themselves in addition to wanting something from the team, and sometimes that doesn't always work so well. So I would say look beyond the technical skills to the critical thinking, to the leadership, to the emotional intelligence. Learn from hopefully from your boss or your colleagues. What am I good at? understand yourself. What am I good at? What am I not good at? And if I'm not good at something and if you feel like it's critical, then what am I going to do to change that? And one of the trends today that you all probably know, you've probably taken advantage of it, is coaching, right? Lots of coaches out there. There's lifestyle coaches and business coaches and this kind of coaches and AI coaches and everything. And I've seen that work extremely well in a lot of cases with people that want to change something about themselves that they realize there's a problem. A lot of it has to do with self-confidence for women, self-confidence. So they enlist a coach to help them with that. And I think that's perfectly fine. I consider coaching kind of like therapy in a way, and it has some of the same elements, but it can certainly lead you down a really positive path if you get the right coach.
Awesome, thank you. And then, Aaron, in terms of your tech stack, you mentioned a little bit earlier, but how are you approaching 2026?
I'm going to answer that for motorsports, then I have some thoughts for AI as well. So for motorsports, it's a people's sport, and the business is very highly intensive in capital. So physics is something that we care very much about, instrumentation, mechanical engineering. Those are some of the fields that are very, you have to work with your hands, and you have to be aware of all your tools. And so a lot of people ask me, how does AI makes a connection? But the field itself is highly modernized with the STEM and the data. So it's the connection between the physics and the sports that it all comes together. Speaking of tech stack, I'm currently using Microsoft for Small Business Azure. And for my entire team, I'm making them aware to be on Google Workspace, and they ask me why I'm doing this to them. And I was like, because I want to see trends. So I do spark a little bit of technology here and there, and my engineers don't see it today, but I'm very confident in a few months I'll be able to show them the trending. That for this fix, it took you this long, and because we recorded the data, I could tell you that these are the things that we were doing, and that what gave us the solution. So this was the motorsport answer. But really quick about, the banking industry or financials or fintech, as I want to talk a little bit about it. We are talking about compute. The compute became cheaper, and there are a lot of firms which are investing a lot to get new microchips out there, and you see every single, now that Elon Musk has announced his new firm, it's going to become more affordable. But what are we going to do with this compute power? So I think, Farina, you gave an excellent use case. That's amazing. And that similar use case comes through in drug trials as well. That we're sitting here on a lot of different fields where we don't have an answer for. In financial industry, I would like to see the regulation actually comes to a point where it's easier for people like me or the ones who are sitting around to be able to do business. I happen to have known Valerie for 2 years, and I had the privilege to attend a dinner with her, and it was among a couple of CIOs, and the few things that really stuck with me, what she said is that if you want to do something, just do it. Don't look for any reason that you're not able to. And I think in an age of AI, currently there are enough tools out there where whatever you want to do, please focus on research. Figure out data and go back and check. And if your AI tool is giving you something on which you are an expert for and the data is not right, communicate back to the tool and let them know that, hey, by the way, I've used these resources which are verifiable and your answer was wrong. So we need to build this future of ecosystem together is what my message is.
And then, Florina,
If I can piggyback off of what she said, what I'm super jazzed about is how AI can help us be more human. So in terms of healthcare, how many of you know doctors, physicians, who are unicorns in terms of they have excellent bedside manner, they're able to build trust with you quickly, they're excellent technicians even, they know how to lead a team. That's actually quite rare to find. But if AI helps unburden them of all the administration that is actually causing burnout and suicide in healthcare, then imagine how training surgeons and physicians would change. they would actually be focused on communication skills and storytelling and how to build trust quickly with their patients, who in turn will be loyal to them, and that will in turn push the bottom line for whatever health system they're working in. So there's a ripple effect that I'm so excited to see, and how, especially in healthcare, where bad AI implementation has such extraordinarily terrible outcomes. I'm so excited to see more humane health. And Valerie was talking about longevity. That's also my background, longevity research. And now we're using AI to come up with, there's companies now that are trying to build a silver bullet for aging. And that's going to be a $400 billion market if they're able to achieve that with AI. But now rare diseases are being diagnosed every day. Where now a child who has a rare disease doesn't have to suffer for 5 years and get, on average, 3 wrong diagnoses. And now an AI can diagnose it accurately in 3 seconds. So that's kind of stuff that I'm really excited about, where parents can be better parents, healthcare workers can be better humane healthcare workers using AI.
So we're going to shift gears a little bit in terms of, we have some startups here, some founders, maybe some folks in their business, and sales and marketing is important. It's kind of interesting, when I started my business, I had 30 plus years of consulting experience, and you got domain expertise, and it's like, no problem, I just want to get, start my business, and it's like, where are the leads? Where are the clients? Where are the sales? And so the long pole in the tent is sales and marketing, lead gen, closing sales, right? And if you can figure that out, the rest is easy. The technology is much easier than that portion. So Jameen, you've had to launch this company and get to a certain stage. Maybe from a sales and marketing perspective, what are the insights and how do you get your first clients and how are you growing, right?
If you guys haven't listened to my episode with you 1 year ago, I was only, I guess, around 2 years shy of the company, which is still pretty new, still trying to figure it out. And a year since then, we expanded into this product line, which is immersive AI technology. And the only way to do it was to literally just get out and do it. The way this was born, people say, "How did you come up with this idea?" I found someone who believed in me and gave me a chance to take this to New York Fashion Week. You guys realize, I was doing an AI photo booth for 2 years. So what if we did China? What if we did products out here? Instant epiphany. Everyone flipped out. I can see the funnel flipping on me. When I saw that validation, so you have to get out there and talk to the people who you're really solving for, see that validation, see the place where you're trying to go. I talked to the designers in New York, I talked to the brand owners. You have to, this is something you can't ask AI to do. You have to research yourself or find studies that are clinical studies to actually say what's actually happening, what's the pain point. Once you really solve that pain point, it's easy for you, I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's clearer for you to create a path for yourself to then find the right partners, the right people who would like to pilot this, to introduce this to your networks, and just getting out there. It's really all like social media.
And Florina, you're doing go-to-market. So what are your insights from the sales and marketing perspective?
From sales and marketing. Okay, let's see. So I get on LinkedIn and I see so much just AI all over the place. And so what I'm excited about is now people are starting to complain about it. And now they realize, actually the LinkedIn algorithm prioritizes my personal experience in my voice and not AI driven. It will actually deprioritize your content. And so I like that. That's one of the only social media platforms that is actually doing that. You're actually elevating your content by speaking in your own voice, writing with your own thoughts, and sharing your human experience in business. And that's what AI cannot do. We connect to each other through stories and through lived experience. AI is very good at mimicking that up to a certain point, but not nearly as good as me being an effective storyteller and me connecting with you and having your brainwaves narrow. So that's a uniquely human gift And I think we can use AI to amplify it, maybe collaborate with us on brainstorming, but our voice is our voice, and we should not give that up. Not even in marketing for our businesses.
And then Valerie, from I would say an operational perspective, scaling the business. I mean, you've been building these businesses. What are your insights on, okay, now you've got some initial clients, etc., but how do you like really scale it, the client base?
In order to scale, you have to have processes in place that everybody understands, everybody can use, and that don't vary. Because you can't, and believe me, I've been all over the place. When I first started the business, it was like, whatever y'all want to do is fine with me. And that didn't work. I mean, I worked for a little while, but if I wanted to grow the business, then I've got to have sales processes, I've got to have recruiting processes, I've got to have hiring processes, and they've got to be written down. People need to understand what they are. Otherwise, it's just going to be all over the place. And I will tell you about sales and marketing. Salespeople are the hardest people to find. And I've managed salespeople for 40 years. And I will tell you that they're hard to find, hard to manage, and if you want to scale a business like mine, where you have to use salespeople, I mean, that's the way we sell. We have salespeople go out and knock on doors and meet people. They've got to be good at what they do, and they have to know the product and the service inside and out in order to do that. And so all of that requires processes, learning, teaching, all of that has to come together in order to scale a business. And it's really not easy. It's difficult. And so, marketing, to me, marketing is separate from sales. Marketing supports sales. And sales is a lot harder without marketing. So a lot of people, they hire salespeople, they give them no support and no marketing, and they wonder why they don't make it. So, to me, you have to have both at the same time in order to scale a business. You've got to have people that know who you are and what you're doing, and you can't always do that with one salespeople going out to one company. You've got to have more than that. So we place an emphasis, a big emphasis on marketing to support our salespeople. And so we've grown over the years in every business I've had with that thought about process, technology, and all of the things that learning, training that go along with trying to get your business to the next level. And so we've been through ups and downs, of growing a business, and you just have to keep at it, because not only you have these processes and all the stuff that you develop. Well, the next year it changes. Everything changes over time, and so you have to be aware of even sales. The sales we do today, we don't sell and lead gen today like we did when I first started in business. I used to go in a building, I could go from top to bottom, go in every office, how you doing, to give me some business. And you can't get in any building, you can't do that. So you really have to continue to look at the way people sell, and the way networking for us is huge, and it should be for every business. And also, if you're the CEO like I am, I'm the out front person. Everybody looks at me, and so that's a lot of responsibility. I feel like if I won't go out and call on a customer, why would I ask anybody in my company to do so? So if you want to be the CEO of a company, you've got to be willing to go out and meet with customers. You can't just go to LinkedIn.
Yeah, thanks, and then also, before your Motorsports, you were at a big bank, right here with operations, automation. Maybe talk a little bit about that experience, right? Especially in terms of making things more efficient.
Yes, so efficiencies for banks, the one that I was working for is 200 plus years old bank, and it operates in 170 plus countries. So we are in commercial consumer market space, and I had the honor and pleasure to leading their consumer retail pieces also the global space, the cloud enablement. And some of these technologies are unique because when you're trying to implement them at scale from the onset. So we don't have a time to react and see that if it's going to work just for this one branch, it has to work for every branch once we make a decision. Same goes for our customers. If we have 40 million customers, if we are launching a feature, it has to work for 40 million. So my thinking had always been that what I bring to the table has to be foolproof. There is no margin of error at all. And I think that mindset kind of prepares you for something to build for your own. So I'll keep it short. So I think once, again, doing anything great is important that you test, you figure out the tools, and you go all the way and you make sure that it actually works. Because if it doesn't, then the repercussions are wrong. You've seen actually not just with the bank that I worked for, all major banks goes under fine. Each one of them have fined for different reasons as early as in the past 10 years.
On the episode, we always talk about ethical and responsible AI. Can we ever be ethical and responsible with AI? What are your thoughts on it?
So I'm not an actual. I am a bridge builder. That's what I do. So in health, health is a Gordian knot. Healthcare is a Gordian knot of problems to solve. And I can tell you that my job for the last 15 years, and every role that I've had under my North Star of human flourishing, is about building the bridge from the tech, or the AI models that will work, and to the humans. Because that's a big gap that you've got to fill. And especially in healthcare, where physicians and care providers are very, in many ways, conservative about use of technology. You have to get their buy-in. You also have to know their needs and their wants through and through. Valerie's talking about knowing her customers, going out and selling her product and services. Well, I had to do that too. And I had to know physicians and care providers through and through. And I saw again and again pilots fail because even if the AI model was sexy, even if the product was slick and shiny, they're just not going to use it unless they see real world impact in the environment of care. And the funniest thing is that very simple solutions are the ones that they gravitate toward. And so going back to the point of it has to fit seamlessly in their workflow, I think this is true of any industry because we're all human, and that's just who we are. But another point that I wanted to make, in healthcare and in any other industry, my thesis is that the fundamental currency is trust. And we need to have many more conversations around how we can make AI development transparent, with guardrails, how we can think about responsible development and ethical development. And I've been in those conversations for the last 20 years now, and even the so-called experts, in Silicon Valley, the ones who are actually leading us in frontier AI, they don't have the answers either. So we need to keep pushing this and drive public awareness around it.
I appreciate that. In terms of democratization, AI is a great democratizer, Jamal, but what is just the opportunities and challenges that we're getting more people to the table?
So the big hurdle that I think people have is seeing if they can access it and if it's something that they can actually benefit from. And so one thing that I would actually be is a passion of mine, even though we are talking with very, very large enterprise clients, department stores and your favorite sneaker brand, my actual joy of the fulfillment to see how this is working is small businesses and small business owners and small brands. Boutiques are to load their entire inventory in here and have their customers exclude themselves in products and buy one of our consultants $30,000 of revenue in just 3 days. It's a pop-up shop, and it never would have cost if they had to roll their entire store to this other city. And so the democratization was born from allowing the AI to do a lot of the heavy lifting of something that was never possible for physical inventory into a digital way, and allowing the you'll have to directly translate into revenue. And so that's where I think I mean, the same thing can be done in healthcare, right? Like thousands of hours of research and testing could be done instantly. Where time can be saved, where it can be affordable with the energy, where it can really fulfill the gaps that costs before. That's where I think AI is really empowering. I just want to speak a little bit about the ethics as well. Is because people with their personal photo, right? Like I'm very protective of like where's my photo going? Is it being saved? Are they going to use it? And so that's been a pillar of something that we've always, and I talked about in the podcast a year ago, is that a pillar is like the privacy. And giving users the authority to have their photos saved, not used for training, not used for, marketing, things like that. And so we implement that inside ours, like Sends and privacy. And I think that every single person should be questioning whether or not the laws exist yet. Self-governance at the highest degree needs to be there, because if you're not, then they might invite you later when they do implement that.
So I want to get to questions pretty soon. So I always want to close out with a encouragement. So what's the one thing you want to tell the folks that are maybe trying to get into this space, building their business, maybe struggling? What's your final thoughts to those folks?
Don't be afraid of trying. And I know it's really simple, but that's exactly what it is. Just go out there and try. And oftentimes we focus a lot on research, we focus a lot on, don't be afraid of failure, because there's a tremendous amount of failures until you'll find success. So just go out there and give it a try.
Laurie?
Never give up. Never, ever, ever give up. Even when you think, oh, it's lost, don't give up. Because if you fail at that, you will have learned so much from that to allow you to do things even better than you did before. I also want to say that I am extremely impressed with these women who have started their own businesses, and I want to see encourage more women to start businesses in tech. Please start businesses. And I want all you guys, and by the way, I've never seen so many men at a women's event in my life. I want to thank you men for coming, and I want to ask you to please look at your teams and make sure there's women on that team, and make sure those women don't feel isolated because they're the only one. Help them, and they will return the help in many ways to you too.
Thanks so much, Laurie.
Yeah, as much as when we have an idea, the first thing we ask now is AI, right? Like, oh, this is a good idea. It's always going to tell you it's a good idea. But talk to people. I feel like finding mentors, finding advisors, reliable people who know that, their benefits, if they don't think it's really they honestly want to see you succeed in constructive criticism, and just finding that will only help you grow. And so once you find those really great networks, these events are amazing. I mean, I'm so inspired by all the women here, the men as well. Making those real connections and see who can be part of your journey with you. I wish you luck with that.
So I have a 7-year-old daughter, and I'm so jealous of her because she lives in an age of sorcery. I mean, she can build any worlds that she wants. And she's a very creative little girl. And I wish I had that as a child, but now I have it now. So I pushed and challenged myself to solve my own problems. Instead of going to my business partner, who is an AI sorcerer, I'm going to start building my own solutions. I'm just gonna slug it out and build my own solutions because I should learn this stuff. I think if you stop learning and growing, you may as well just kill over and die. So I may as well learn this, even though I'm not attracted to it, but I'll do it. And so that's what I would encourage everyone to just build your own solutions.
Give you the backdrop in terms of encouragement. I turned 50 years ago, and I saw AI coming down the pike. I said, I don't want to be in this corporate cycle anymore. I need to go build now. About a year ago, someone reached out to me about launching a podcast. I said, hey, I'm sure other people trying to figure out this AI space. Maybe like the founders, the innovators that are actually building out. share real world wins. It's been a year on YouTube. It's approaching 4 million views. We got some really cool people out there. So the short part, the other part, this part's not short. Sorry, I apologize, but it was a turnkey service. So I was paying someone a lot of money to help me with my podcast, but it wasn't growing. I said I'm a consultant, so I started using the AI, going to ChatGPT, Claude, all this stuff. So I started doing my own thumbnails, keywords, tags, SEO. Things started taking off. Now you got to figure out something called AEO, the AI engine optimization, the GPO, the generative engine optimization. So I actually went in and spent 3 hours a day. I actually got the transcript for my podcast. It's like you gotta do the GPO. I went to Claude and created an article for me with all the tags, watch on Spotify, all that kind of stuff. Then I had to get to my website. It wasn't working, and I played around with it. It wrote the HTML code for me. I embedded it in there, and poof, it's on my website now. So now, when AI starts looking Claude or something, you type in something, it's actually pull up my podcast and have a whole article with all the transcript and all the keywords. And so you can kind of go figure this stuff out. And you know, my wife's right here, and I said either I can be put out to pasture or I got to figure this thing out. So and so I'm trying to figure this thing out. So, and if you feel alone, look around you. This is a beautiful, diverse audience. You're no longer alone. Make sure you connect with people. Take some pictures. Tag us in that. It's going to help you with your social media to get some presence. So just think about that. So I want to give you all that encouragement. So now we're going to do some Q&A on.
What is your favorite AI tool that you use on a regular basis?
Yes.
I would like to ask all of the ladies up there. Yes.
We have a 30-year-old database, right? It's got people in it, it's got contractors in it, it's got companies in it. 30 years worth of stuff that we got no insights out of. And what we did is we have two tools, Woo and Kylo, who helped us go out and fix that database and get it up to date and get rid of the duplication and be able to go out and find people that we placed years ago. And what better way, I mean, it's really reduced our dependence on LinkedIn. Quite honestly, so that's what we use.
My short answer there is experiment with different tools and see which one gives you the best results, the best value, and actually accurate of the life.
Right. Thank you.
I like that. And I was gonna go next, yes? Can I? Okay, thank you. So before all the GPTs, Perplexity became popular for a reason. I took it on, and then I'm using Claude. But depending on what I'm trying to do. So for example, in a PE, private equity space in VC, there's so much public source data that if I need to use that data, but if I'm building a tool, then there are front-end tools that I want to use for. So depending on the need. And about images, I am not using any tool for images. You will find my pictures candid, crooked. I actually submitted, I purposely did it. I wrote an article, I went to this Japanese, commission, and I had a great time. I had that photo crooked, and that's what I put in. And the views just went astronomical. I want to see more crooked pictures out there.
So there is something that Sanjay also alluded to, which is, for many years in an enterprise context, what we would see is in times of big technology change, there would be younger people trying to reskill and sort of find the skills they need to have more access to jobs. One very unique thing that I see now, both in my work and just out there, is also more experienced folks trying to reskill, trying to build new capabilities, especially now as they re-enter the market in some cases. How do you manage that now, where it's more experienced folks also having the same existential dread that younger people would have?
Yes, good question about us older folks and what we can learn. You really, you all are going to have to deal with your managers. You're going to have to deal with people like me and people who've been in the workforce a long time and are older. And you're going to have to be patient with us because we can learn things, but honestly, it's not native to us, and it's harder and takes longer. But certainly, we know everything else. We know how to manage people. We know how to do all the other stuff. So the main thing is that we get the instruction and the patience that go along with teaching people. I used to be a teacher. I was a teacher at one of the community colleges for a number of years. And so I know what it takes for people to learn, and I know what it takes for people to learn at different ages. And so you have to be willing to work with those people. What I say about learning AI for any age is that when you start, you're in a company, let's say. You're in a company, you're in a department, you understand hopefully what the business is. You start there. You learn all about that business. You learn all about the problems in that business. And then you go out and try to find in that company who knows about AI that can teach you that. You start there with what you've got, and you go from there. And so I think all of us are trying to learn ChatGPT and all that it's those technologies. But then you've got to get out of that and go to agentic AI and agents and all that kind of thing. So it's a process, and you know, I hear all this stuff about speed up. No, you can't speed up learning. You really can't. You know, you got to take the time. So that's what I'm.
So my question is for everyone in the room, and then we're going to start with the panel. It's real simple. If you had to build an agent, and I know Japan, you've already built, you know, this really cool tool, which I think is amazing. Thank you. Thank you for the society. Thank you for the world. Thank you for building it. If you had to build an AI today, what would you suggest it have if you had only one choice? Sarcasm, humor, or empathy? Okay, I'm gonna start. Florina, I'll start with you. Any type of AI tool. Any type of AI tool. It's not humanoid though. It's not humanoid.
Yeah, so actually what I wanted to say is this is actually going to have a voice agent where it's going to be conversational. So we are asking ourselves that question and allowing brands to actually choose the personality of the AI sales agent that you're looking so that you can talk to. And I definitely think empathy is the number one. Because when people are shopping or talking to you, it's a very personal type of conversational, but not too much that's like fake.
Hi, my name is Susie. I am here today to show you what you should wear today. Oh no, that does not look nice on you. She has no humor. Okay, that's just an example. Okay, thank you, Jameen.
So I'm going to go outside of your suggestions, and I would want a devil's advocate. So I would have an AI, agentic AI, be a devil's advocate and challenge and push me for all of my ideas and my any philosophy that I am investigating and any mental approach, and just literally poke holes. Because I think that's really useful.
Oh, I don't know what I'm thinking. I agree with her. I like her challenge and all that. Yes,
I want to crew my gym.
Okay, I'm going with sarcasm. I do that. Those who know me, they know that. I put people on the spot. I'm not changing it. That's how I connect with people, and that's what my answer is. Sarcasm on the brain.
Thank you. And Sanjay, what would you suggest?
Well, I'm sarcastic, so that's So here's the thing, I only care about results at the end of the day, but so I would say because they need to understand what I'm trying to achieve, but also needs to balance that aspect of it has to think outside the box and connect things that I don't see to get to that result. So it's really understanding me and what I'm trying to achieve to get to a specific result. That's how I would.
write it down so I don't forget it. Hello, everyone. Thank you to the panelists. And I have a question about women, particularly minority women. I've read recent commentaries from Melinda Gates that highlight that minority women are being disproportionately impacted by the job displacement and the AI era. From your perspective, what structural and technological factors are driving this trend? And what targeted upskilling strategies should women, particularly those from underrepresented backgrounds like myself, prioritize to remain competitive and resilient in an AI-driven workforce?
Okay, I can answer part of that. Part of the reason that Black women are having such an issue is because of DEI, getting rid of DEI, all the programs, special programs. I don't care what anybody thinks. DEI helped me. You know, there was a time when women in business had such a hard time, and that push toward diversity was really, really made a difference because people started focusing on it. Hey, you know, I've got all these white guys here. Well, let's look at some women. Let's look at somebody from other countries, whatever. And so I think that's one. And I think that upskilling, there are so many free opportunities to learn online in things like this, in podcasts, in free programs. That you got to take advantage of that. You know, you got to learn on your own, and you've got to find those resources. What's sad right now is that there are 5,700 universities and colleges in the U.S. And guess how many have AI degrees? 300. And out of that 300, only 60 some of them have bachelor's, and then some of them only have master's. I mean, education in this country is so freaking behind. It just blows my mind. In fact, I just read the other day, I can't remember which university it is here, UNT or one of them, said they were just starting a bachelor's program in AI. I mean, this has been going on forever. This is a problem in education. They never keep up with what industry needs. But anyway, regardless of them, there's plenty of other things out there that you can learn from that are free or very low cost. And women, all people that need to learn something need to take advantage of that.
So if you look into the history of U.S. education, you'll see that our public education system was designed for the Industrial Revolution. And so what that does is produce factory line workers. And I'm not into that. So from a very young age, I took my education into my own hands. I don't have any letters after my name. I'm a nursing school dropout, but I've been able to accomplish and achieve amazing things because I know I have the smarts, the wits, and the resilience to do it. And I think every woman, regardless of your ethnicity, every woman has that in her because she had to. Because it's hard. It's a hard world to be a woman, no matter your ethnicity. But even harder if you're Black or minority. So you've got to just get after it. And take your education in your own hands, as Valerie mentioned. You can literally have all these free certifications on AI from Claude, from Google, MIT, and other top universities. So go after that because it's free. And you can become a powerhouse. Because not a lot of people are actually doing it right now. They talk about it, but they're not actually building. And so, yeah, especially as a woman of color, if you're building, then your perspective, your unique, way of thinking will be built into whatever you're building, and you're helping other women of color do the same. So that's what I would encourage you to do.
I would say I had a lot of trouble finding a job right out of college, and then also starting this business, finding leads. And so the first thing I did was hire myself. Like I would do projects for myself that I would dream that I would get hired for, and just do them and create case studies. It's like because when you get all the degrees, you know, what do you do now? What if someone hires you for experience? It's more than if you do it, show that it's possible, prove it, put it on your LinkedIn, write an article about it, be in the real world and actually implement what you learn. I'm all about implementation than theoretical. Like once you learn it, now apply it. And that will hopefully raise your chances of proving it to the next person.
All right, thank you so much. And the other thing too is that you apply it to your current job, your current business, use AI to help you figure things out and be successful. First of all, I want to say thank you to my amazing panel. Let's give them a hand. Also, I want to say thank you to this amazing audience. Give yourselves a hand. All right, so that ends the panel. So please enjoy the appetizers, get some drinks, network. Thank you so much.